I'm sorry, that last recording got cut off. I'm actually doing this whole thing, this video, another day. As you can see, I'm wearing something different, but as I was saying, it's not fair for many of reasons. Um, I was talking about how they told me that I would have to do the whole floor by myself, and I just thought that was crazy because it'll be tricky to do that and pass out meds. And I was saying that I'm tired of finding jobs where I apply for a certain position and come to find out my position is it's not just one position, it's two positions. Because when I was a medical assistant, I had the same thing happen to me where I'm over here thinking I'm just going to be doing drug testing when in fact I have to do medical assistant work too. So they had this is at a different office, so but they had medical assistants for every different department. They had a medical assistants for um, exam rooms who only do help the doctors with exams, and then they had medical assistants that interview patients and take them in and set up injections and stuff. And then they had medical assistants like me who primarily do drug tests, but every now and then we all do the same thing, which is triage, interview patients, order reports and stuff like that. So, it could be very backbreaking because people are expecting you to go above and beyond and help them. Like the medical assistants that primarily just do the floor where they bring in patients and do interviews, update their charts and stuff. They don't help you out. They don't help me out with the drug tests, and they don't help the other medical assistants out with the procedure room. They only primarily just do their section only, and yet when the going gets tough, they expect you to come in and pitch in and still do your work at the end of the day. But they don't help. Nobody helps. So that's another reason why I had quit my last job at the clinic as a medical assistant, because everybody was having these high expectations for me to help, and yet at the end of the day nobody was helping me. They always come up with excuses like, oh, I gotta do this, I have an appointment after work and stuff. Like, well, me too. So I quit. And then I saw the same thing happening at this place. They they really, really believe deep down in their mind that they are breaking their back helping you, but in all actuality you're helping them. They're not helping you, you're helping them. And that's because um you have to pass the meds, and you have to help them with the floor. You have to help them with ambulation, bringing the people to the dining table, bringing them to the living room and stuff. You have to help feed them. You have to help bring them back to their rooms and change them. You have to you have to do it by yourself, and you have to help the caregiver at the same time. So a caregiver, they're not licensed to pass meds. You are. As a med tech, you're the only one who's licensed or certified to pass those meds. They can't. So technically speaking, they're not helping you with shit. They think in their mind that they're helping you with that shit, but they're not. Because at the end of the day, they're not licensed to do what you're doing. So it's not their fault. But at the same time, if they really want to say, oh, I'm helping you, well, bitch, you helping them. You helping them. They're really not helping you. Daily speaking, they're not helping you. Yeah, I just saw a whole fucking flashback. I signed up for a particular job, and now I have to do all this other stuff, which I really don't mind. But the problem is that every job I find like that, it's always a problem. Either I'm helping somebody, but they don't help me back, or I'm helping somebody as best as I can, and in their eyes, it's not enough. Or when I ask for help, you can't do this by yourself. Oh, I can tell you've never done this type of work before. I haven't. I really, really haven't. Anywho, I'm about to wrap this up. And I know I said that there was mostly just two people in particular who I had a hard time working with. But actually, there it was a little bit more. I had my disputes with other people too. Like, there's this pregnant girl there. I didn't really like want to count her in, even though she was rude as hell. But since she's pregnant, all those mood swings come into play, and people, act different when they're pregnant. Because I know I was a real bitch. I knew I was a real beat to the itch when I was pregnant with my baby, so I try to give her the benefit of the doubt. But she was showing me, well, she was telling me some patients, they have to get their medicine crushed, and some of them get it whole, and some of them get it crushed with applesauce. So I was listening to her saying which ones get it and which ones don't. And there was just like a handful of people who get theirs crushed. But, I had forgot. So she had walked off somewhere. And I had went up to her and I asked her, hey, can you say that? Can you repeat that one more time? Um, I just want to have like a refresher so I can, write it down and take notes. Because in my mind, I thought I was supposed to be writing down people's names. Because they're really um, nitpicky about that. They don't really like for you to be writing patients' names down. Because the whole privacy policy thing. But she got an attitude with me and she was like, what? You didn't write any of that down? I'll see if I have time later, but I gotta go. So I said, okay. So I went back to the med office, med tech office, and I waited for her, and I saw her like lingering around, and she was talking to people, and then all of a sudden she was gone. She left. She never came back to tell me, ever. And from the start, since I met her that day, and from on and on and on, every other time, like she never greeted me properly. Like even the girl who I can't stand, at least she would tell me hi or good morning or good afternoon. But that girl, she never said hi, never said good afternoon. Like she never greeted me. She just comes in and she comes out. That's it. So it is what it is. She is a real capital B to the itch. And then there was another one. There's a woman that seemed like she always liked to get into arguments with people about the littlest things. Like at one time I was about to head home because my shift was over and she had came over to start her shift, and she was yelling at another lady in their language because I couldn't understand a thing that they were saying, but I heard a lot of fuck and a lot of goddamn and bitch and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I heard because I don't know their language. And she the following day she come back again, and then I hear on the phone arguing with her son. I'm like, this bitch is very argumentative. I see who the problem is up in here. It ain't them, it's her. Well, it's everybody, but I'm talking about more like in her own home, her household. And then the following night, we had a issue with our electronics, our computer systems. So we had to um, punch in and out using these mispunch forms with these papers. So I had to write all my stuff down. I had been wrote it already, but then I was ready to go home. So I put. They don't supply you. They don't supply a pen and Sharpies, pencils. They don't have anything like that inside the office and the med carts or nothing. So you always have to bring your own. So that's another downfall about it. You have to bring your own fucking utensils and shit. Sometimes you have to bring your own gloves because they don't supply enough gloves either. You'll use a whole box of gloves and then you'll need more working with these type of places. Um, So anyways, I had put my stuff back inside of my car because I didn't want nobody to take it. One time somebody almost did. I had brought my own pen, and then next thing I know, when I come back to the med cart, it's gone. So I went and hunt that motherfucker down, and I took it back. And so I put everything in the car, and then when she goes to do the paper to do her mispunch forms and stuff like that, she's like, "Oh, you got a pen on you?" I'm like, "No, unfortunately, no." And she's like, why? You're supposed to have a pen and Sharpie and stuff on you at all times. I'm like, I did. I put it back in my car. And then she's like, oh. And I'm like, and if that's the case, why you ain't got one? Why you ain't bring your own pen? Why you ain't bring your own Sharpie? But anywho, like I said, I quit. I put in my 2 weeks notice. And to be honest with you, I did a full week there, and then the final week it was like on and off. So my last week I only did 3 days compared to doing a whole week like how I was supposed to, because like I had it, like the disrespect, like the temperature, the weighing you down, like that shit was just getting to me. And it's hot and humid, and I have to run here, run there. My feet are killing me. It's real bad. But anyways, I'm just gonna wrap this up, and I'm just gonna go over the pros and the cons about this job. I'm gonna go over the pros first because there's not that many. And then of course I'll go over the cons. So I wrote it down, so give me a second. So pros to working at a senior living facility as a med tech would be the learning experience first. The learning experience, it is an eye opener. I don't, even though I had my differences with the staff members, and a good chunk of them treated me disrespectfully. I give a certain type of props to these people because they're very essential. Like, these are not the type of people where I would look at them and discredit them or downgrade them in any way, shape, or form. Like when you see people working at Walmart or at McDonald's, everybody's like, oh, I would never, oh, I would never. Oh, she worked there, I would never. People downgrade shit like that. But this type of job is very, very essential, and we need people like these. So I would never be like, oh, I would never. Because I did. And, you know, um, it's an eye opener because this could be your family member in there one day. It could be your family. It could be you. It could be your loved ones. It could be anybody, somebody you really, really care for inside of these facilities. So if if it ever gets to that point and you worked as a med tech, you know what steps to take, you know what precautions to do, you know everything that goes down. Like personally, I would never have my family members, my mom or my dad, when they get older, I would never have them in an assisted living facility. After the things I've witnessed, after the things I've seen, been through, I would never have them be in one of those, ever. Um, I would do a home health aide for them, and those are very, very essential people too. They pretty much fall in the same category, but it's more on a personal level. So I would definitely do more of a home health aide before I put them inside of a nursing home or a senior living facility, something like that. Never, 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 never. Like the shit that you will see, like on the outside, it's all sweet and fine. It looks nice, like a really nice community, but on the inside, like you got some patients where you can tell that their family really, really genuinely cares about them. Like you'll see pictures everywhere. You'll see their room decorated, nice, smelling good, furniture. Like their family really make sure that they take care of them while they're there. But then you'll get other patients where their room looks like they're on hospice, which we do have some people that are on hospice, but their room just looks like when I walked into one patient's room, I thought it was empty. But when I walked up a little bit further, I saw her in the bed, and that's all she had was just a bed. There's no photos, there's no family, there's no nice furniture. It was hot, empty, and it had this, like how a room would smell with a person having not been there for a while, like just vacated for a long ass time. It smells like that, like an empty vessel, almost like death, like embalming fluid or some shit. But yeah, it's just really sad. Like, and it's quite a few people there like that who they just don't have anybody. They don't have any people coming to visit them, no family to visit them from time to time. Some do, some don't, and they're just preparing for death in the worst way because they're also in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. That's why they take all these medications. So yeah, that was a big eye opener, and it's really really sad. The next thing is the benefits. I didn't really go into the benefits thoroughly with the company because I knew I wasn't going to be staying long enough to even need benefits. But they do offer a lot of benefits. They offer like retirement, the 401 shit, dental, vision, health, um, PTO. They offer like a whole bunch of benefits, tuition, a whole bunch of stuff, a whole lengthy thing. Like as soon as you start, they hit you with benefits which you want to apply for and everything. So they have some really really good benefits for this place. And the next thing that I really 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 liked about it and why I decided to pursue it in the first place was because of the flexible schedule. They have very flexible schedules. You can work morning, you can work noon, or you can work night. And I was working noon, 3 to 11, and that shift, it worked fine for me because I had enough time to like my one of my kids. I have two kids. My oldest, he goes to school, he's in pre-K, and then my youngest, I stay at home with him. So I had enough time to like drop my son off, pick him up, and then take care of my youngest in the morning with my shift that I had. Even though I probably should have worked the overnight shift because they don't do as much stuff as the morning and noon. But yeah, they're flexible. I mean, their schedule, that shit was it was perfect. I loved the schedule. I loved it. If it wasn't so bad, I would have continued staying there because I really need a schedule like that. That's what I'm looking for. All right, now here comes the cons because I only had three pros. Now here comes the cons. First on my list is the training. The training wasn't very adequate at all. Um, since this was my first time on the floor in the field working as a med tech, I had a good amount of knowledge and stuff about med tech, but I didn't have any about being a CNA or a caregiver. So they said I would have to take these prerequisites before I start getting involved with people. So before I start handling the residents, I would have to do these training courses online for CNA or caregiver work. So yeah, I did it. It took me about maybe 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks to finish it. Not that long because they give you up to a month to do it. But the whole while I was doing the courses and stuff, the training, um, my manager and my supervisor, they kept on like pressuring me and rushing me to get it done. Like, oh, how far are you now? Or where are you getting to now? Because we didn't just hire you to just do the work online. We want you to be on the floor too. And I'm like, y'all just gave me this stuff. I know that. I don't want to be doing this either. I'd rather start this shit already. I want to start too. But they're really really rushing me. I'm like, why? Because some of the training that they gave me, this shit takes about 2 hours. So I mean, it's paid for. They give you paid training to do those courses online. But I just felt rushed, and at the same time I'm like, a little bit, I've kind of felt like there was a catch to it. Like, why are they rushing me so hard? So once I finally finished and I started doing the in-person training, the real stuff, the real deal, that wasn't so great either because it was also rushed. Yeah, that shit was rushed too because this place is short staffed, so nobody really had the time to train me thoroughly as much as they probably wanted to or needed to. So day one, they already kind of wanted me to start passing meds by myself, and I don't feel comfortable with that. I feel like I need like at least maybe 1 or 2 days or so before I start doing stuff like that by myself. But they, they were in a rush. They were here, they were there. Like at some points, I didn't even see the person who was training me. I was with somebody else. Like it was all over the place because they're so short staffed. And I wanted my manager said that I could get as much training as I needed until I felt comfortable with what I was doing. So um, I had knocked out the first week of training, and the second week, my manager asked me, "Oh, are you comfortable with doing the med tech work by yourself?" I said, "Yeah, but I feel like I still need more training with doing the caregiving work." And she said, "Oh, okay, that's fine. Don't worry about that too much because you're going to have somebody there to help you and assist you with that. But just primarily focus on the meds and stuff, passing that out." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool. I got that." But once it came down, like, I'm over here thinking that I'm going to get more training to do the caregiver work. Nope. So I only really got 1 week worth of training. 1 week worth of training. And that's it. Just one fucking week to train. And then they just threw me to the wolves. So I had to catch on and pick up to that caregiver work like real quick. And since I never done caregiving work, I didn't really know what to do. I mean, I saw the way some people um, handle the patients and stuff, and I try to handle them the same way. But like, I just felt like I needed that extra week or so just to get comfortable doing all that stuff. Because when it came down to changing the number two, yeah, that shit was problematic. But I always call somebody to come in and help me, and they would be like, "What? You didn't do that? You didn't do this? You don't know how to do that?" I'm like, "I only got a week's worth of training." And then they already expected me to know all these patients, like, "Oh, go bring this to Henry," and stuff like that. I still didn't know who was who, because I'm still new. So the training was very insufficient. Which now that brings me to the pay rate. The pay rate is another con. Um, I was only getting 16 an hour for this position. And I looked every other place that I checked out, it really didn't matter because it was still 16 an hour, no matter where you look. And then I saw a place that was more local to me, and that shit said 1650. 1650, and that's still low. So, like I mentioned, as a pro, as far as a learning experience, like how I said, caregivers are very essential, which they are. And quite frankly, even though I had a bad experience with these people, I don't think they get paid enough for what they do. I feel like these people should be making 20 an hour for this type of work. Like, they're exposed to all these hazardous things like contact precaution, airborne precaution. Like,